Hubby left me speechless. The night he walked through the door with a different scent clinging to his clothes, something inside her shattered, but she pretended not to notice, kissing him softly like she always did, even though his lips barely responded. Love, once a burning fire in their eyes, had become a flicker, lost in the shadows of late calls and secret smiles on his phone screen, and yet she tried so hard, to believe that maybe he was just tired, that maybe the stress was too much, that maybe the man who used to whisper sweet nothings while tracing her body with fingertips full of longing hadn't replaced her warmth with another's. The silence between them grew louder than words, even when they made love. It wasn't like before. The way he used to crave her touch, moan her name, press his mouth against hers with a hunger that made her toes curl, was now replaced with rushed, emotionless thrusts that felt more like obligation than desire. But still, she dressed up at night, wore his favorite scent, ran her fingers slowly down his chest while whispering hot promises in his ear, trying to seduce the man who once couldn't keep his hands off her. One night, as he pushed her hand away and rolled over, she stared at the ceiling, tears sliding into her hair. Her body aching not from rejection but from the loss of something deeper. Intimacy, connection, trust. The next morning, she followed him, trembling inside as her heart pounded like a hunted animal. What she saw crushed her soul, him outside that hotel, holding another woman from behind, lips brushing her neck, hands touching her in ways he hadn't touched her in months. She turned away, biting her lip to stop the scream, blood rushing so hard in her ears it felt like it would burst. That night she said nothing. She lay next to him, skin cold, breathing shallow, whispering in her mind, "Don't cry. Don't scream. Don't let him see you break." But when his hand touched her hip that night, she let him, not because she wanted it, but because she needed to feel if he was still hers somehow. He kissed her neck and whispered things he probably whispered to that woman, but this time she didn't close her eyes. Instead, she stared at the wall, silent tears rolling as he moved inside her, passionless and robotic. Her own hands clenched in the sheets not from pleasure but from betrayal. The next day she bled. Not physically but emotionally. And yet, when he came home with a smile and flowers pretending nothing happened, she took them, smiled, and kissed his lips slowly, letting him taste the storm brewing inside her. She decided that night not to cry again, not to break, but to plan. She began to mirror his behavior, stayed out late, touched her phone with secretive fingers, laughed with strangers just enough to make him suspicious, but never enough to confirm it. When he asked where she was, she smiled with glossed lips and answered with stories that dripped of vague truths and hidden meanings. She kissed him longer, touched him deeper, played with his mind and body until he started to crave her again, but she gave him only a little at a time. And the night she did give in, she made love like never before, whispering the dirtiest things in his ear, riding him with desperate, messy heat that left him panting and confused, wondering if she had found a new version of herself or if someone else had awakened her. She let his hands roam her body, mouth exploring every inch, front, back, lips, thighs, until she saw him breaking beneath her, lost in lust and guilt. She used his own tricks, slow touches, deep gazes, hot breaths on his neck, soft dirty whispers that turned his bones to ash, and then she'd suddenly pull away, saying she was tired, leaving him hanging, needing her more than ever. She was winning the game now, and he didn't even know it. But inside she was still bleeding. Every kiss, every moan she faked, every night she laid bare beneath the man who betrayed her. It tore at her. Still she didn't stop, because her revenge wasn't to hurt him back with another man. It was to let him fall back in love with a version of her that no longer existed, only to lose her forever. Then came the night of their anniversary, when she wore red, the color of passion, pain, blood, and betrayal. He looked at her with new eyes, as if seeing her for the first time, and she let him. She danced slowly in front of him, seducing him not just with her body but with the power she now held. That night she took control, kissed him with fire, touched him in every way that once made him moan, whispered filthy fantasies while riding him until his body shook, telling him she had learned new things, seen new desires, tasted different pleasures. He didn't know whether to be aroused or terrified. And when he begged her to stay close after, to sleep in his arms, she turned her back to him, leaving him cold. In the morning, he found a note on the bed soaked in red lipstick saying, "I loved you, even when you didn't deserve it." But now I love myself more. That night she didn't come home. And when he called her again and again, her phone remained silent. What he didn't know was that she had watched the footage of him and the other woman over and over again, and instead of crying, she had learned to burn. She remembered the way his hands had held someone else, the way he smiled at her like he used to smile only at one woman. His wife, and it fueled her. She began recording their nights together, capturing the way she made him beg for her, the way he whispered her name like a prayer, the way he cried in the middle of sex once, saying he missed the woman she used to be. And then one night as he slept, she placed all those recordings into a single file, along with the footage of his betrayal, and scheduled it to post online exactly 1 hour after she disappeared from his life. Her final gift. When the video went live, it exploded. His shame, his guilt, his twisted lust, and her ultimate control played out for the world to see. She became a whisper, a legend, a woman who didn't just survive heartbreak. She turned it into fire and danced in it. People cried watching her pain, gasped at her courage, felt the heat of her sensual revenge, and cheered when the final scene showed him kneeling, broken, in front of an empty bed, covered in rose petals and the final whisper of her scent. She didn't need to destroy him physically. She made sure he would wake up every morning haunted by the woman he tried to replace and the fire she became. The suspense of where she went, who she became, and whether she had ever truly forgiven him became a story people whispered about. Some said she moved to a new country and started over. Some said she stayed close and watched him crumble from afar. Others believed she had someone new, someone stronger, someone who made her feel again. But the truth was hidden behind her lips, the same lips that once trembled against his in love, now sealed in power, in silence, and in the sweet revenge of letting him feel what it meant to lose the woman who once gave him everything. She vanished like smoke, leaving behind only the memory of her scent on his sheets and the echo of her cries in his mind. He searched for her, called everyone she ever knew, visited places she once loved, but found nothing. Just silence, like the silence she used to swallow every night while he pretended to be hers. Every time he touched another woman, he'd close his eyes and see her. The way she moaned when he kissed her deeply, the way her hands explored him slowly, the way her breath quickened when he touched her back, her thighs, her mouth. But none of them were her. They didn't talk like her, they didn't beg like her. They didn't whisper filthy promises with the same mix of love and fury. He was a prisoner of his own past now, tormented by the face of the woman who gave him everything until he burned it all down. Weeks passed, then months, and just when he thought he had buried the pain beneath drinks and meaningless touches, he got a letter. A single red envelope placed at his doorstep with no return address. Inside it was a single photograph, her sitting by the ocean, holding the hand of a man whose face was cut off, but the happiness in her eyes screamed louder than any words. And written beneath the picture, "He kissed my scars like they were beautiful. Something you never did." His knees buckled, heart pounding, palms sweating, mouth dry. The woman he thought he owned had healed without him, had risen from the ashes he left her in, and had found something he never gave, peace. That night he couldn't sleep. He replayed every moment, every betrayal, every moan, every argument, and every time she cried silently while lying next to him. He remembered the night he told her he was working late and instead spent it wrapped around another body, whispering lies between kisses. He remembered the way she kissed him when he returned, holding on to him like he was her world, when he was out there shattering it piece by piece. He screamed into his pillow, but the silence of her absence screamed louder. And then it happened, he started seeing her. In his dreams. In reflections. In strangers passing by. He swore he saw her across the street one day, and when he ran toward her, she vanished. His friends thought he was losing his mind. They were right. He didn't know reality from illusion anymore. Every woman who touched him felt wrong. Every night he closed his eyes, he heard her voice, sometimes crying, sometimes moaning, sometimes whispering, "You'll never forget me." The suspense wasn't in what she'd do next, but in what she'd already done. Because unknown to him, she had placed tiny pieces of her truth in every corner of his life. Her lipstick stain inside his favorite book. Her perfume sprayed once inside his car's air vent. A pair of her underwear hidden behind his closet drawer. She made sure he could never escape her. Not physically, not emotionally, not even spiritually. She was inside his bloodstream, infecting every moment of his future with the pain he once gave so easily. And then the twist unraveled. He found out that the woman he had been with, the one he cheated her for, had been hired. Hired by his wife. Trap. Test. A painful game of seduction meant to reveal the truth of his heart. It had never been about sex, it was about loyalty. The woman had recorded everything. Every kiss. Every lie. Every moment he said he loved her while texting someone else. And it all led back to that night when she set the camera on the shelf and said, "Now, he'll show who he truly is." The woman he thought he loved was part of her revenge. And the worst part, he fell for it. Every lie he told, every secret he kept, every message he deleted, was already known. She had watched it all unfold like a movie. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Her forgiveness wasn't real, it was bait. And the night she rode him with a fire he hadn't felt in years, whispering filth and promises, pulling his body into hers with nails digging into his skin, it was her goodbye. She had given him one last taste of heaven before showing him what hell felt like. That final recording, the one he thought was just sex, was actually his confession. He had whispered things to her that night, truths she never expected to hear. That he wished he had never met the other woman, that he missed the days she'd beg for his touch, that he cheated because he felt she stopped trying, when all along she was trying to save them both. And now the whole world had seen it. The video, the tears, the heartbreak, the pain, the sex, the betrayal. It went viral. Not because of the scandal but because of the rawness. The world saw a woman fight for love, lose, rise, and return stronger, burning with a power that left nothing untouched. But he wasn't done suffering yet. One night he got a package. No return address. Inside was a journal, hers. Every page filled with her thoughts. Her pain. Her confusion. Her questions. Why am I not enough? Why does he still say he loves me after he's touched someone else? Do I smell different now? Is that why he pulls away? If I die tonight, would he cry or just replace me faster? Reading her words crushed him. Then came the bloodstained page. Not hers, but the page where she wrote after cutting her wrist once, not deep enough to die, but deep enough to remember the pain. I wanted to feel something. Because he made me feel nothing. His tears dropped on the page, mixing with the faded red mark. She had once hurt herself just to feel alive. And he hadn't even noticed. That night he tried to call her again, but her number had long been disconnected. The woman he betrayed had become unreachable, like a ghost, like a goddess, like a fire that burned too hot to be touched twice. But the final twist. She never left town. She lived 5 blocks away, under a new name, with a new life, working in a place where he would never find her. She had walked past him in the grocery store once, just to see if he would recognize her. He didn't. Because she had changed, not just her hair, her clothes, her smile, but her soul. She had replaced her softness with strength, her silence with strategy, her love with power, and her pain. It became her art. She started writing stories, speaking at events, teaching others how to rebuild after betrayal. She became a voice for the voiceless, a lighthouse for the broken, a storm for the unworthy. And yet, sometimes late at night when she lies alone, she remembers the man she once gave everything to. She doesn't cry for him. She cries for the version of herself who stayed too long, kissed too hard, touched too deeply, and loved too blindly. But those tears are fuel. The next morning, she rises stronger, sexier, more untouchable. She still wears red, but now it's for herself. The world looks at her and sees a survivor. But she knows the truth. She's not just a survivor. She's a silent storm, a woman who once whispered love into a man's chest, only to scream freedom into the wind. And as for him, he still wakes up at night, sweating, whispering her name. But no one answers. Because the woman he betrayed didn't just leave. She evolved. She became everything he couldn't handle, and everything the world now can't ignore. And that truly left him speechless.